Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is our Ring of Honor show for the week. As you can see, if you've noticed on our last two shows, my partner Gary is once again not available for the show. It's all business. We're still a team. We're still Heel Heat. Just happens to be his job is keeping him from doing these, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and roll this on and do this one solo. We'll go right into the show. We have all three matches of the night are all actually matches from the Border Wars internet pay-per-view. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, you could go on to Ring of Honor's website. It's a very good pay-per-view. It's a very much worth the deal. I think it's $15. I really honestly don't remember because I ordered it a couple weeks ago myself. But I do believe they have a deal for, I think, $25 where you get the stream, and then when a DVD comes out, you get that as well. Check it out. It's a good pay-per-view. It's definitely worth a buy. Way more worth than what you're going to spend if you buy WWE's pay-per-view this weekend. But anyway, going right into the show. Our first match of the night was, again, from Border Wars. We had Mike Bennett versus Roderick Strong. This was absolutely a fantastic match. Roderick Strong is one of my favorite wrestlers in Ring of Honor. He's one of the cornerstones of the company, one of the guys you can count on to have an excellent match. Mike Bennett's a guy who doesn't really get the credit he deserves, in my opinion. I think he's a well-rounded, very solid wrestler. His in-ring skills are good. His gimmick's awesome. His mic skills are very good. I mean, he's a well-rounded guy. I don't know why he gets overlooked. I guess the theory is he's more of a WWE-style wrestler, which isn't really a bad thing. And a lot of people get distracted by Maria Kanellis, who's always with him, and can't argue with that. She's very attractive. But the match was very good. A lot of back-and-forth action. Bennett and Strong both looking excellent in the match. It comes towards the finish. It teases Maria getting involved to distract the referee. Bennett doesn't get the win from it. Then Cheeseburger comes out and steals a kiss from Maria based off of, I forget what show it was, but Bennett basically was attacking Cheeseburger, who, if you guys are not familiar, is I think he's like a 120-pound guy that started, he first was was picked on by Charlie Haas when Haas was still there. I think the kid's got some good comedic talent and some good timing. I hope he gets some roster time. I hope his size isn't too much of a deterrent. We get Roderick Strong picking up the win in this. After Bennett tried to chase off Cheeseburger, he ran in the ring, caught a sick kick, which is an absolutely awesome move. I thoroughly enjoy the fact that Roderick Strong has several different ways to beat. He has the hundreds of different backbreakers. He has the Gibson driver, the stronghold, the sick kick. I mean, the guy is absolutely awesome. Now we go into our next match of the night, which is an I Quit match, BJ Whitmer versus Rhett Titus. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I enjoy Rhett Titus. BJ Whitmer, I don't hate him. I don't like him. He's somebody that's there. This was one of the worst I Quit matches I've seen in my life. I know Ring of Honor's not really a blood and guts, ECW, Combat Zone style company, but when they've had these type matches, and they've had these where they're part of a feud, which is it's the level of brutality and violence has stepped up. All you really need to do is look last year when Whitmer and Titus fought Haas and Benjamin, how much the brutality level stepped up in that. Ladder War, Generico versus Steen. I mean, through the history of Ring of Honor, there's been some really brutal matches with relaxed stipulations. I mean, some of the ones with Homicide and Cabana, Homicide and Carino, Homicide in a lot of them, to be honest with you. Whitmer himself has some awesome you know, I don't want to say no holds barred type matches, but gimmick matches, where Tonight I Quit match really is there. To get into it, there's no blood, which I don't really care about that. The violence wasn't stepped up. It wasn't really anything different than a normal match, except for the fact that Whitmer was able to zip tie Titus to the top rope, which brought in Steve Corino, and Corino basically kneeled down and stretched his arms out and turned his back on Whitmer when Whitmer had the chair, and that's what made Titus quit, so Whitmer didn't destroy Corino with the chair. Again, like I said, probably one of the worst I Quit matches I've seen. I expected way more from these guys. The level of brutality should have been brought up. This should have been a match where chairs came in, tables came in, you know, chains, spikes, whatever you want to add into it. It should have brought that all in there and made this match a violent affair. But it really wasn't, and it really disappointed me. It's one of the very few matches on that pay-per-view that did disappoint me. I think it's the only one that did. But the reason why I think they put it on here is because at the end of the match, Jimmy Jacobs and Cliff Compton come out to attack Red Titus, and it goes right into Jacobs and Compton versus Michael Elgin and Jay Lethal, which was a fantastic match. The stipulations are, if the Scum team, Jacobs and Compton, win, then Corino gets to be on commentary. If Elgin and Lethal win, Corino has to leave wrestling for good. So it was a good worked match. They had a nice frenetic pace to it. The action kept going and moving. At one point, Jay Lethal injures his knee in the match, whether it's a work or a shoot. I think it's a work, to be honest with you, because of the way it was set up. Jay Lethal injures his knee, leaves Elgin out there to fend for himself. He's fending for himself for a little bit, holding his own, but starts to get tired and looks for a tag. Well, out of nowhere comes Kevin Steen. Steen stands on the apron. You can see him screaming and yelling at Nigel McGuinness. Nigel shakes his head yes. Kevin Steen is now taking Jay Lethal's part. So we got Elgin and Steen now versus Jacobs and Compton. This goes on for a little while. I mean, Michael Elgin was, in my opinion, was the star of the match. Some of the stuff he did, holding Jacobs up for over a minute in a delayed vertical suplex. Later in the match, holding Compton up for about 60 seconds in the same move. Or 45 seconds in the same move. Really impressive stuff. The guy is very, very impressive with the moves he can hit. I really think this was his match. He was the most interesting wrestler, above Lethal, above Compton, above Jacobs, and even above Steen, who wasn't in there very long. He hit a couple of the cannonballs. He hit some of his moves. But this really was Michael Elgin. I think he stole the show in the match. And I think he stole the show on this show, to be honest with you, and maybe even the pay-per-view. But we had the finish comes where Steen's got Compton up. He's about to hit the package pile driver. While he's holding him up, Jimmy Jacobs come in and schoolboys him, gets the pin. You see Michael Elgin go over to Nigel McGuinness. Basically, you see him ask him, why did you let him in the match? Nigel said it was the only thing I could do. Elgin walks off. Steen standing in the ring looking frustrated. Overall, the matches they picked, other than Whitmer Titus, but I do think they only picked that because of how it fed into the tag match. The two other matches were excellent. The I Quit match, like I said, it's probably one of the worst I Quit matches I've ever seen. Probably one of the worst gimmick matches in recent history. But overall, a really decent show. The middle match, with it only being 3 shows, it hurts so much for them to have a stinker in there. So we'll go right into our rating system. Now, if you guys have watched any of our shows, we got our ratings are basically 1 through 5. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I hate to do it, but I have to give this show a 2. If you took out the Whitmer Titus, this show would probably be a 4. But Whitmer Titus drug it down so bad, in my opinion. that it knocked 2 whole rating points off for me. I mean, when you only, like I said, when you only have 3 matches, the tag match was great. Bennett versus Strong was absolutely phenomenal. Whitmer and Titus was so bad that it drug the other 2 matches down, in my opinion. And I really hate to say it, because I like Titus as a wrestler. Whitmer's solid. He's not, like I said, he's not a guy I'm a fan of. He's not a guy I hate. He's a solid wrestler. I don't turn the channel when he's on. I don't fast forward through the DVR. I watch his matches. He's good. He's just one of them guys that I don't really have anything invested. But I thought if they could have maybe just shown highlights of that and cut to the end where the tag team came out and made the tag match, maybe that would have been better. But it drug it down to me. I really hate being this negative on Ring of Honor because the product's usually so good. But overall, it was a 2 in my opinion, a 2 out of 5 just because of that match. But basically, that's all I have to say about this show. My name is George Coles, and this has been Heel Heat.